been established for over 100 years, which when you compare it to the length of time at which the internet has been established is an enormous amount of time. They started with telegraph and moved on to the telephone, and somehow in the mid-80s, when the internet started becoming important, they felt that it wasn't going to be important, and so did not really get involved in anything to do with internet governance in these early days. It was pretty much an American thing to start with. The ITU runs with member organizations, and in fact it's actually member states. So all the stakeholders at the table are all government people. There are non-government organizations present in the ITU, but they are there as observers, I guess. And in fact, during the Dubai conference, a couple of organizations tried to take the floor, and their input was quietly put on the side. Because, you know, the governments basically had the discussion with each other. It's a multilateral organization, so governments speak with governments, and maybe civil society can go and speak to civil society, and the private sector can speak to the private sector. And that structural problem makes it very difficult for everyone to be able to agree with each other, even within the same country, which is a real challenge. I was part of the British delegation. So I was wearing a government hat, which is very unlikely for me, but it was only for the purpose of actually being able to take part in all of the discussions that took place, because a lot of the discussions that took place were behind closed doors. They were effectively restricted to the members of the working group itself. And so effectively I went into some of the working groups, and the reason why the British government had me on the team, in fact had many other people on the team, is because they put together a multi-stakeholder advisory group on internet governance, which deals with the ITU issues. So the head of delegation and a small part of the delegation is actually government employees from different ministries, different state agencies, and then they have the others as advisors. So we had someone from British Telecom, we had someone from Intel, we had people from companies, and also people who came from civil society, who were all prepared together in meetings before the World Conference on International Telecommunications took place in Dubai, prepared the input that the UK was going to bring to Dubai. And therefore also, because we were more people, altogether there were 30 people in the delegation, managed to be able to be on every committee, every meeting that took place, whilst at the same time having bilateral meetings with some of the other countries. We were very busy, but at least we weren't just 2 or 3 people having to run the whole show. And I think that was recognized by the British government as being very helpful indeed. On top of that, it was recognized by them, and this was an experiment, by the way. They thought, let's try it once, see if it works. It was recognized that whatever decisions and whatever points the United Kingdom was pushing forward at the conference were the points of view of people back home. And so after the conference, when they came back, and I have to remind you, the United Kingdom did not sign the treaty, and I generally believe that when the delegation arrived in Dubai, there was a genuine will to find a solution and to sign. But there were some problems. There were some problems in some of the recommendations, some of the regulations that were going to be signed. And if those were not going to be were not possible, these were red lines effectively. So if there is no move on this, then we're not going to be able to move forward. It's a very significant thing to refuse to sign a treaty. And it was very well understood by the members and by many other countries there. The UK did not sign, and there was never a concern that going back home, the ministry, industry, civil society would look at the delegation and say, hang on, you've done exactly the opposite of what we wanted you to do, because we were working hand in hand with the input in there. What effectively happened was a conference which I guess tried to do an enormous amount. The last conference was in 1988, so it was very, very late in taking place and moving forward. It was rushed to try and find solutions, and it tried to basically resolve everything at the same time, when effectively it would have probably been better, and that's my personal point of view, not the view the UK government or ISOC or ICANN, but it would have probably been